Hi everyone, great for you to join us on week 2 of our Wholeness series. This week we're looking specifically at having a wholeness mindset, and I'm really delighted to be interviewing and chatting with Tom. Tom is one of our young adults pastors across Alive here in Alive Lincoln, and he's also the creative director. So when you get your great resources, Tom's been the mind behind those resources. So we're looking at mind actually today, Tom, and so I'd love to hear a little bit from you about your own journey with a wellness mindset, a wholeness mindset. What's God spoken to you about? So tell us a bit of your story.
Sure. So I think to start off with, I think for me, wellness and wholeness is always a journey rather than a destination.
Great. Yeah.
There's an amazing Stoic quote from like early Greece, like 34 BC, I think it is, which says something like, learning is not for school, but for life.
Great.
And I like the fact that I'm on a journey through trials and through celebrations of discovering who I am and what my identity is in Christ. Now, for me, that's probably been, I've learned a lot more about myself through some trials that I've had with mental health and situations in our life. But taking the approach of life is for learning. It's not just for that school moment. It's for your whole life, actually. Taking every day, asking that question, what is my opportunity to learn about myself today, brings me closer to my identity in Christ.
Great. I love that. So there are two things that you said there that really stood out to me. One is this idea of identity in Christ and knowing your identity in Christ being key to having a wellness mindset. And two, this idea of always learning and having your own personal journey. There's something in that that always feels like a bit of a relief when someone can say, me too, I've struggled with these things too. So let's go to the identity in Christ thing. How's that really helped you continue to walk into what we're calling a wholeness mindset?
If it's okay to kind of go into a bit of kind of background detail.
Yeah, I'd love to, yeah.
So about 4 years ago, kind of things in my life kind of took a bit of a turn, and I had a massive kind of nervous breakdown, which at the point left me at a point where I didn't really want to be around. I didn't want to be here. I didn't see any point of my identity. I didn't recognize my identity. And some would see that as a bad thing, and it is. But for me, it was a springboard to start in some ways from a blank document to kind of go, well, actually, there is a purpose for me to be here. There is a reason why I'm here. And then from that breakdown, starting from that blank sheet, I was able to discover actually who I am in Christ, but also who I am as a father, as a husband, as a friend. And for me, it took a little bit of a breaking and a bit of a fixing to start on that journey of discovering that identity of Christ. So I don't know what it is fully yet, but like I said before, it's not a destination for me. It's always going to be a journey. Yeah,
I love that. I love that idea of this journey. It's not something that we solve and that we get all sorted, that we continue to walk it out with Jesus by our side, understanding our identity. If you didn't have Jesus in your life and you were walking this, trying to walk out a wholeness mindset without a faith, how would that have worked for you, do you think?
I was talking about this to my friend the other day, actually. I think the thought of that is quite petrifying for me in terms of where I would be. I still struggle with mental health. I'm not ashamed to say it. And it's a process that we're working through. But if I didn't have kind of my faith, and if I didn't have the church and community that I have, that thought is petrifying. Just because, like, she'll hate it, but my main thing is Nick, my wife, has been a rock. She is solid, and she kind of got me through this. I wouldn't have met her if it wasn't for my faith. But also in terms of my time with God, when I read the Bible, when I sit and just think and try and hold my thought captive, actually, that is the thing that holds me together. I love the whole kind of the potter and the clay and the moulding of it. I love the fact that sometimes you have to lean against the pressure of the potter's hand to sometimes to be then remoulded into something better. And I think that's the process I'm going through, is that if I acknowledge, yes, I have struggles with mental health, yes, I have had problems in my life, but actually if I lean against the pressure of the potter's hand, actually I can be remoulded into something loads better. So without my faith, it'd be bad.
I love that image of the potter's hand, of us being moulded by him, but sometimes there is a sense of pressure for us, and just to kind of be obedient in that. But there was also something else that you mentioned about being in relationship and still being in church. I wonder if sometimes a tendency when we're struggling with feeling well in our minds and in our thinking is that we exclude ourselves a little bit, that we go off and we become a bit of an island. And what have you learnt about that and how to still stay in community?
Yeah, so I think, well, first of all, it's okay to acknowledge that sometimes you don't want to be at church. Sometimes when your mind is in the place it's at, especially for me, when I first had the breakdown, the last thing I wanted was to be around people. I'm naturally an introvert anyway, so add a breakdown on top of that, that's the last thing you want to do. But Nick came up with this phrase, and we all know it, it's that there's power in just turning up.
Great.
So for me, it was Nick saying, no, come on, we're going to go there. We can sit at the back, we can hide, it's fine, but we're going to turn up. And for me, that's what it was all about. Is we're going to turn up to a church on a Sunday, and then we're going to turn up to our friend's house. Then we're going to turn up. And turning up sometimes means talking and being honest. So sitting down with a friend and turning up saying, I'm not doing all right today.
Yeah.
Can you help me through this?
Yeah.
But for us, church, we don't see it as church attendance. We see it as turning up to a place which helps us move on in our life.
Yeah.
So for me, turning up was recovery. Turning up was a bit of a breakthrough for us. So I don't see it as Tom's not here this week, let's tick him off, he's not here. I see it as if I'm not here, actually my mental health will decline.
Yeah.
My sense of community will decline. And again, it's that whole thing of like, what am I learning? My learning is when I gather with people, actually there's development within me.
Yeah, I love that. There's power in gathering, there's power in just turning up. And you mentioned about turning up as your whole self. We don't have to turn up as a fake, polished version of ourselves. We can turn up exactly as we are. And that's what church is for, isn't it? Yeah. Turning up exactly as you are.
It's about being authentic.
Yeah. And
sometimes, and this is the problem with mental health, people kind of cover it up and try and be brave about it. And we go on about first world problems, and actually mental health is a first world problem, and that's something where actually if we become more authentic about that and saying this is how I am today, this is how I'm feeling, but then understanding that person where they're coming from, actually I think we're on to an actual winner.
I love it. I could talk about this all day, and I've had the privilege of being able to see your journey and see how you've allowed God to work in your journey, how you haven't taken yourself out of church, and I just think that's a brilliant thing to see. So just to finish off, and as people are watching in Connect groups, what's the kind of takeaway of what God's done in your life? Who has he revealed himself as to you throughout this journey of yours?
The Father for me is so important, because it's like that time out on a step. Actually, sometimes it's good to be put on a step so you can reflect and think about what you've done, so then you can then not do that again. And that's definitely been for my life. There's been certain points where the Father has made me sit on a step. And actually, as I sit there in the mess of who I've become, I can then stand up and then walk into a full room.
Yeah.
And that's what's good about it, is that there's a Father heart of correction, but always in love, because obviously he knows that my days ahead of me are full of prosperity and hope, and that's what I cling to, is a Father who speaks love and hope over me.
I love it, and I guess that's what helps you live out your identity in Christ.
Yeah, 100%.
Knowing there's a Father who loves you, who affirms you, who disciplines, but only because he loves. Great. Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview as much as I did. And this is a great opportunity for us in our groups to discuss some of these issues and thoughts around having a wholeness mindset. There's going to be some questions that come up on the screen, and this is a great opportunity to get in further discussion about where we're at with our wholeness mindset. And it would be great if we can conclude our groups by praying for one another, praying that we are whole in our body and our soul and our spirit, as we read in 1 Thessalonians 5:23. Have a fantastic week.